So then we do our roundup?
Yeah, let's do our roundup, and we'll be quick about this. I want to get quicker about doing the roundup anyways.
Yeah.
I watched Le Cage. I'll go first. I watched Le Cage aux Folles, which is...
La Cage aux Folles, and that's not even a very good accent, but it's better than what you did.
Which is the original French version of The Birdcage, which I enjoyed the original version. I enjoyed the French version. Neither are really my thing. I'm going to shrug at them. I know I totally get it if other people like them. I even like certain aspects of them, but not my thing. Mm-hmm. I watched this is all since the last time we did this, which has been 3 weeks for us, but I'm sure these videos are going up near the last time we did this. I watched My Beautiful Laundrette, which was weird. We didn't talk about it in our last discussion. That's
another one we could throw in there.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
I mean, we could almost talk about Hot Fuzz in a way. Because Hot Fuzz and My Beautiful Laundrette, but let's keep...
Anyways, My Beautiful Laundrette was an interesting movie. I thought it was kind of interesting for the acting, maybe more, and the story was, I don't know, it didn't make complete sense to me. I didn't understand what was going on, and the filmmaking was weird, but I enjoyed it, so there you go. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? I finally caught up with that classic. I need you to watch that, and then we'll talk about it. I watched Day of the Outlaw, which was leaving at the end of last month for the Western Noirs. I liked that one a fair bit. There are women characters in it, and they are not very well done. That's all I can think to say about it at the moment, though it is really, it's there's that whole thing where it's a Chekhov's gun. If you show the gun in the first act, it has to fire by the last act. Yeah. And I can't remember, for some small spoilers, I don't think a gun ever gets fired in Day of the Outlaw. If it does, maybe once. And it's not in the last act.
I appreciated Stranger a little more after talking about it with you. I'm not sure I liked it anymore, or I'm going to rewatch it ever again. But part of what you appreciate about these noirs is knowing the bigger genre, which is like me with these.
Well, and I find
things. I think if you had me watch The Stranger as part of a larger exploration of noir, that would have been a different experience than
probably. Well,
just it's also watch The Stranger in a vacuum, and it's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah. That definitely makes sense. I also, in noirs, watching all the noirs, a part of what's interesting is how women interact in these noirs, but that's a larger conversation for another time.
Right.
But Day of the Outlaw is a movie I wish I had watched early enough to tell you to watch. It's still not quite your thing, but I think you would have liked the fact that, it's Chekhov's gun, but it never goes off.
Right.
And the whole point is that the West is a fucking miserable place.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I want you to watch Night of the Hunter, because those are both Robert Mitchum movies.
Right. Or no, you're thinking of I Watched Blood on the Moon later.
Oh, okay.
That's Robert Mitchum.
Got it.
Day of the Outlaw is Robert Ryan or something Ryan.
Yeah. But I want to rewatch Yakuza sometime. I think that's an underappreciated movie.
That's an interesting one. But speaking of Blood on the Moon, I watched that. That's also a Western noir. I didn't like it as much as Day of the Outlaw. The story was even kind of weaker, but it was still interesting, and Robert Mitchum was really good. And the women get to wear pants in that movie, and they still don't really get a ton to do, but that was an interesting aspect of it. I watched several different Mel Brooks movies, or I watched two. I watched Robin Hood Men in Tights and Blazing Saddles. Robin Hood Men in Tights, not for me. I'm not sure how good that movie is. It was fine. Blazing Saddles was a lot more interesting, still not my thing. Blazing Saddles is the kind of movie that it was made in 1974, but still feels like a movie that's relevant today, and I really wish that weren't true.
I still want you to watch The Producers, and then maybe we could actually talk more about Blazing Saddle and The Producers, because I think I think Lindsay Ellis says it better than we're going to say it, but I think there's something to be said.
Yeah, I need to watch that. Those are most, because a lot of the other movies I watched are movies we talked about in our last discussion about queer movies. I rewatched a few movies. I don't need to tell you about that. I missed one. There was I watched The Last Sentinel, which I just want people to know in case anyone's seen it. It's starring Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica. Nothing happens in it. It's really fucking boring. It's not even bad good. Nothing happens in it. I think Jill, my girlfriend, got it because she likes Battlestar Galactica and Katie Sackhoff long ago, and we watched it, and I was like, can we get rid of this? And she was like, yes, because nothing happens in it. And then there was one, 1,000 Pieces of Gold, which I don't think we've actually talked about on camera, but that is what started the very long argument.
I want you to watch Variety, and then we can talk about maybe talk about a couple women-directed things together or something like that.
I think I'm good with that. I've been curious to watch Variety. I just haven't done it yet, so I'll do that.
I put it on your list. That and
for the record, just so everybody knows, 1,000 Pieces of Gold is a good movie and it has good female representation in it, and you should watch it.
I want you to either watch Variety or Millennium Actress, and if you watch Variety, we can talk about like woman-directed stuff, and if we watch Millennium Actress, you can regale me a little more about Japanese cinema.
We'll do that. And that's it for me on things that I watched that I have anything to say about.
So what's the last date we recorded? What am I moving from?
8/24 is the date I have on here for Le Cage of Follies.
Okay.
And that's so from 8/24 forward.
So I have watched a lot of Korean and
I was going to say, why are you asking me? You've only watched Korean or Chinese.
No, but I wanted to know where to go from. I've been watching Korean drama, a very small amount of Chinese drama, and one Japanese drama. Put Your Head on My Shoulder is from China. Le Coupe de Foudre is from China. Still 17, My Ideas Gang and Beauty. I Hear Your Voice. Good Doctor. Romance is a Bonus Book. Pinocchio. Those are all Korean. I have not been able to get myself to finish because it's my first life for Shopping King Louis, but I invested in those as well as She's in the Trap. And Nodami Canticle is Japanese. And I'm just having a lot of fun because much as I like, I mean, there's definitely an aspect of it being new, and I like it for being new to me, not to everyone, but to me. We're
just a little old for the generation that I think watched this a little more. Like I think the generation after us, or like our niece's generation, has more of this.
But romance is always fascinating. It's like mysteries. It's like there's certain westerns, there's certain genres that I think adhere more closely to tropes than others. Other stuff is more open. So, I mean, and you can dig down, like monster horror, like certain things have to happen, right? In most of these dramas, like for one thing, there's a product placement, which is hilarious, like eczema cream, like nothing makes me feel romantic. Like there are basically ads done by the actors in some of these. And I am deeply sympathetic to actors. I think they get treated very badly sometimes, to be honest, and especially if they don't make any money. But like I think about Rose Tico, Kelly Tran, like just the shit she got for Star Wars, and it's like she didn't write the character, she didn't, and I mean no one deserves, regardless.
Like some of it was racist and some of it was like attacking her for the character, and it's like I didn't like that character too, and you know what? It's not the actress's fault.
But it's also no one deserves, regardless of whether the character was even well written or not. No one deserves to be abused that way. But I have that funny thing where I almost want to give the Best Actor award to someone who had to say truly shitty lines.
You like that
with heart and feeling and love, because
occasionally Sarah plays.
I'm very picky about dialogue. I'm medium picky about dialogue. Again, it kind of depends on the genre. Like a Marvel film,
more than medium, but maybe like you pick on things sometimes. I don't know.
But you see an actor have to say dumbass shit sincerely and bless their hearts, because then it's just like, that's a job. That's their job. It's like, you
shared Sarah occasionally, like, and it's been multiple times since you found them. You'll just pull up William Riker.
Jonathan
Frakes from some mystery show that he was on, and he's talking about like, does a parrot save a girl's life? And it's like, you're right. Bless your heart, Jonathan Frakes. Like, just you, God, that's such a horrible thing you have to say.
Yeah, and he gets through it. He doesn't laugh. He's serious. He's very, like
he
intimate.
Says it with great voice.
And the product placement on these shows almost gets me in the same way, where it's like, this is how the show gets part of its money. Yeah. You've gotta sell me this phone app, like, and they do.
Yeah.
The eczema cream is probably my second. My first favorite is in Pinocchio. They're definitely getting funding from a shaved ice restaurant, which is where all the hard-hitting newsmen and women of Pinocchio go, because where else would hard-hitting newspaper people go but a shaved ice restaurant? So that like they're constantly and just like, which is your favorite iced tea?
Well,
then there's always an umbrella sharing scene. Always an umbrella sharing scene. She needs a job. She needs an apartment. Cheap apartments are shitty. Like, it's fascinating to watch these pieces kind of moved and rearranged and how they fit them. And they're modern. And one of my problems I've been watching the romantic ones. There's obviously these countries make dramas that are science fiction or thrillers or da-da. I've been watching the romances, mainly the comedies. I accidentally started watching one that's not a comedy and I'm still enjoying it a lot. But one of my complaints about modern Hollywood produced rom-coms, which you don't even see that much anymore, is that they just stalled. They're like the Western genre. They just stalled and they stopped evolving and they stopped being, and it's not until you see something like Schitt's Creek where it's like, oh, this is what people now are dealing with. Like,
yeah,
a lot of older rom-com, like Harry Met Sally, like, and Sleepless in Seattle, like they're dealing with the current issues of that time to a degree. Like, what does it mean to be, can you be?
I've seen some.
These Korean dramas, even though I have seen so many umbrellas shared in the rain, there's this feeling, and it could just be because I just started, but these are all recent. They're exploring modern life. They're exploring like sexism and do we want to get married? And I was watching one with my guy and he's like, most of them are 16 episodes. So there's 16 hours. So be impressed when I give you that list, even though it's not that many. That's 16 hours. Actually, Le Coup de Foudre, I think it was 35 hours. I watched it all. So he was watching one of them with me and he was like, wait, what episode are we on? I'm like, 6. He's like, how many more are there? I'm like, 10. He's like, aren't we almost at the ending? Like, what's going on? It's like, no, it's going to explore a relationship. But part of his issue was like, they can just get together, right? I'm like, what? And he's like, no, they're just going to get together and then it's the end. I'm like, okay, so Korea and cultural expectations and what women can and can't do and what men can and can't do is different from California, which is also different from Alabama. And it explores all those things, and I really appreciate that.
I am glad you finally said that somewhere, because I've heard about this on and off. Now that I'm getting back into watching movies, I'm trying to get Sarah to watch movies again. And mostly I hear about Korean dramas, and I'm excited when she sends me a picture of some man crying, because you just don't see that.
Manly men cry. It is okay. Like, we're not mocking them in any way. Like, I think it's great that
you just
men
don't
having
see it in
feelings
stuff.
is a thing.
Yeah.
And men being sad and crying is fine, and they are still strong men.
Yes, and those are great, because I just like seeing it, knowing that it's there. And
younger men with older women, seeing that way more in this than you see in Western stuff.
Yeah, I'd almost be curious to watch some of these, except that I'm not quite, and also it's just too much time. And I watched Sasan Tango.
I would get your girlfriend to watch some, and then I would have you watch a few, but I know this is like a long-term goal, like not this day. You're still working on.
You still need to write. Like, I need to be like an editor. Like, that's what we need to get you doing, is writing essays, and I'll be your editor or something.
About these. I mean, a lot of people have commented on some of the stuff. I mean, there's video stuff about it. Anyway, so that's what I've been working on. My computer is now giving me a red symbol for battery, so we should probably sign off.
We should sign off. I'll quickly say that I'm probably going to watch a few less movies about queer cinema this week, but I'm going to keep watching them. My plan this week is to watch some of the Western noirs that are leaving Criterion and other stuff that's leaving Criterion, and probably something that Joe wants to watch, because we haven't done much of that lately.
I'm going to keep watching dramas, and I'll try and watch a few movies.
I'm going to push some movies on you. Anyways, all right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.